Then we'll discuss about the programming language concept. The next topic, high level programming principle. After that, we are going to discuss about the function oriented programming versus the object oriented programming. Then we are going to discuss about Java programming paradigms, and then the features of Java programming. This all topic we are going to discuss in this lecture. So let's begin with the history of Java. So Java was originally designed for interacting television, but it was too advanced technology for the digital cable television industry at that time, right? The history of Java start with the green team, right? The green team is nothing but the Java team member consists of green team initiated this project to develop a language for digital devices such as set-top boxes, television, and some internet programming, right? So basically, Java start with the development of set-top box, television, and internet programming in that time. Right? And the later Java technology was incorporated by Netscape. Its Java technologies merged with, for the networking purpose, right? So at that time, the principles of creating Java programming were it's a simple, robust, portable, platform independent, secure, high performance and multi-threaded, architecture neutral, object oriented, interpreted and dynamic language. So this is the goal of developing the Java language at that time in 1990s, right? These were the principle of developing, right? So Java is developed by the James Gosling, right? Uh, who is known as the father of Java. In 1995, he and his teams started the project in early 90s, right? So Java is nothing but the island of Indonesia where the first coffee was produced. It was known as it is known as Java coffee, right? So it is kind of espresso bean. Java name was chosen by James Gosling because he is very fond of the coffee, right? At that time. So he named the language as a Java. So initially developed by James Gosling at the Sun Microsystem, right? And after that, the Java is subsidized with the Oracle Corporation and released in 1995. So in 1995, the Time magazines called Java one of the 10 best product of the 1995. So in 1995, Java is awarded the one of the best product in magazine, right? Now in JDK 1.0 released in January 23, 1996, right? After the first release of Java, there have been many additional features added to the language. Now Java is being used in Windows application, web application, enterprise application, mobile application, card issue, and etc. Each new revision needs add to features in some new features in Java. Just wait for a moment. We'll continue with the presentation. Am I audible?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So Java programming is claimed as here. This slide is very important. All of you please go through it. So why you are going to study Java? Why this subject is introduced in your syllabus, right? So Java programming has many features. So some of the features are listed here, right? So first one, Java is very simple programming language. It is portable. It is secure. It is high performance language. It is multi-threaded, interpreted, platform independent, dynamic, architecture, architecture neutral language, and object oriented language. Architecture neutral means we can combine it with platform independent system, means you can run Java on any platform, right? You can use any hardware platform to run your Java, any OS you can use. You can use either Windows or any other Unix platform to run your Java program, right? These are the listing of some of the features. So we'll discuss each and every feature in detail later. You just remember the name of the feature for time being, right? The next is why the Java is so popular. This is the popularity index of Java, right? So I can say Java has consistently been more popular than any other programming languages, right? So here I list some of the languages, right? So first language is Java. The popularity score of Java is highest among all other languages. The next language is JavaScript. Then you are having C Sharp, then Python, C++, C, PHP, Ruby, Go, and many more languages are there. Among all the language, if you see the popularity graph, then the Java is having the highest popularity, right? So why Java is having highest popularity? Due to these features. Java has worldwide popularity. Java is designed for parallel and distributed computing. It is based on Android mobile platform. Nowadays, everybody is using Android platform mobile phones, right? So backend for developing Android is your Java only. So that's why Java is very popular language. Next feature is it is platform independent. You can run Java on any platform, on any OS. You can run your Java program, right? And Java offers backward compatibility. It is reliable and speedy language to develop any problem statement, right? Solution for problem statement. So Java is very popular language, student. Am I audible?
Yes, miss.
Okay.
Miss, your sound is cracking.
Okay. So next language is next thing we are going to discuss about the programming language features, right? Now my voice is breaking or it is continuously coming. Let me know.
No,
Still
miss.
breaking.
Stay
Still
breaking.
breaking.
So don't worry. After the end of this lecture, I am going to share this PPT with you because there are some network issue and rain is also coming. So maybe it's due to some network problem. You are not able to audible me. Yeah, okay, student, please cooperate with me. Let me continue
Okay,
with my
miss.
lecture. Okay.
Okay, miss.
Yes. So next thing we are going to discuss about the programming language concept, right? So if you want to write any program, so what is program? You know what is program? Program is nothing but the set of instruction to perform anything with the computer, right? So the broadly the program, any program is divided into three categories, right? The first one is machine language programming, second one is assembly level programming, and third one is high level programming. So I can say machine language programming is one generation language, assembly level programming is second generation language, and high level programming is your 3G or third generation language, right? So what is machine level programming? In machine level programming, you need to write your program using binary digit, using bits, either using 0 or 1, right? The coding using machine language. And assembly level programming, you need to use some symbol. Suppose I want to add two number, then I can use add x, y. Suppose I were to move one variable with another, then I can use move z, a, right? And after that, in what is high level language or third generation language? High level language is nothing but the English like language. We need to write a syntax in just like our English language. Obviously, we need to follow some programming instruction for this. So what happens, student? If you write a program in machine language, then your computer only understand the machine language. If you write your program in machine language or first generation language, then you are able to run your program directly using the computer. No need to convert your machine language in any other language, right? Because the computer understand only machine language. The second category of the language is assembly language. So if you write a program in assembly level language, then you require one system software which convert your assembly language code to the machine level code. The name of the system software is assembler. So what is the job of assembler? Assembler will convert assembly language code to the machine level code, right? So why in the early days we are using assembly language? In early centuries, we are using assembly language because for any microprocessor development, we require assembly code. Okay, and nowadays you are using high level language. One second. देखो class start થઈ ગઈ છે જાઓ બેટા. Sorry for disturbance. So next one is your third generation language, which you are going to study here, right? In last semester you study C language, right? So what is C language? C language is one of the high level language. So we require, first we need to write a program in high level language, and after that we need to convert that high level language to machine level language. So if you write program in high level language, then you require some system software to convert your high level language to machine language. So you are having two system software for this. First one is interpreter and second one is compiler, right? Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss. Yes. So if you want to convert high level language to machine language, the one system software is compiler. So what is the job of compiler? The job of compiler is to convert high level language to machine language, right? Because computer understand only machine language. And second software is interpreter. The job of interpreter is same, to convert high level language to machine language. So what is the difference between compiler and interpreter then? The compiler is a software which converts your entire high level program in one goal to machine level. So the job of compiler is to first remove the error present in your high level language and then convert it into the machine level language. And what is the job of interpreter? Interpreter will take one line at a time from your program and convert it into a machine language. The job of interpreter is to convert line by line your 3G language to the machine language. So this is the only difference between interpreter and compiler. So in C language, you already know the concept of compiler. So if you want to write a program in C language and you run your program in C language, then there is a compiler, Turbo C++, which convert your C program into a machine language. So in C program, you require compiler as a system software. But in Java programming, you need to use interpreter, right? Interpreter will use to convert your Java language code to the machine level language. We'll discuss this concept in detail in later. Okay. So till now you understand you are having three generation language. First generation is machine, second one is assembly language, third generation is your high level language. For example, C, C++, Java, C#, Python. These are the example of high level language, 3G language. And you are having one more type of language, that is a 4G language. This slide is visible, third generation programming language. Yes.
Yes.
So these are the example of 3G languages. You are having C, C++, Java, Python, JavaScript, and so on. These are the third generation language. You are having another generation language, that is 4G language. So 3G language is about how to solve the problem, and 4G language is about what to solve, right? So example of 4G language is your SQL. SQL is nothing but your structure query language, right? So using SQL, you can solve the problem like what to solve. You're already having 3 generation language and you need to write a 4G language. So in this course, I think I will introduce a 4G language as well at the last of this course, right? So 4G language, you can integrate 4G language with the 3G language, means you can use SQL with the Java programming. Okay. Now we are going to discuss about the high level programming principles, right? So high level programming principle means your third generation programming language is divided into two categories. First one is function oriented programming and second one is object oriented programming, right? So what is function oriented programming? This concept is very important, student. Please pay attention. The function oriented programming means what? To perform any task, we are going to write different functions, right? And in between, in this you are having a global data, and global data is going to share by all the functions. So all the functions are using the global data to perform some particular task. So data is common over here, and you write different function to execute your program. So example of function oriented programming is your C programming, right? If you remember something about C programming, so C programming is nothing but the collection of different functions, or C programming is a example of structure programming language, right? Next concept is object-oriented programming. So what is object-oriented programming? Java is an example of object-oriented programming, student. So what do you mean by object-oriented programming? In object-oriented programming, we need to write different objects, and objects are going to communicate among themselves. Means there is no global data in object-oriented programming. Data localization concept is there in object oriented programming, right? These are the objects 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, so many objects are there, and objects are going to communicate with each other using message passing system. So this is object oriented programming approach, right? So this slide is about the function-oriented programming versus object-oriented programming. What is the basic difference between function-oriented programming and object-oriented programming? Am I audible? Anybody can reply?
Yes, miss.
Yes. Okay. So first difference is program orientation. So in function oriented programming, your entire program is divided into small piece of code known as function, right? But in object oriented programming, your program is divided into objects. Second important thing is import is not given to data but to function. In function oriented programming like C programming language, the importance is given to the function, right? But in object oriented programming, important is given to the data instead of the function. This is the major difference between object oriented programming and function oriented programming. Next one, the approach wise difference. Function oriented programming follows the top down approach, while the object oriented programming follows the bottom up approach. Next one, you are having access specifier. So function oriented programming does not support any access specifier. So we use access specifier for security purpose for a time being. For today's lecture, you understand what the access specifier we use for security purpose. So if you write program in C, then you cannot provide any security over here. But if you are using any object oriented programming language, suppose you are writing your program in Java, then you are having the functionality that is access specifier, namely public, private, protected, and private protected. Using this, you can secure your program, right? Now next one is data moving. In function oriented program, data can move freely from function to function in the system, right? But in object oriented program, object can move and communicate with each other using message passing system. Okay. Next difference is maintainability, right? To add new data and function is very easy. Is not easy. Not easy in case of function oriented programming. Suppose you want to add some new things in your program, or some new functionality you need to write, then you need to modify your entire program in C. But what happened in object oriented programming? In object oriented programming, you can add your data or you can modify your data very easily, right? Now data access, global access is there in case of function oriented programming, but data localization is there in object oriented programming, right? Next feature is data hiding. So there is no data hiding in case of function oriented programming, but in case of object oriented programming, we are having one principle of object oriented programming, that is data hiding. So data hiding is possible to secure your program in case of object oriented programming like Java. Next feature is overloading. So data overloading facility is again known as polymorphism. This is one of the pillar of object oriented programming. So polymorphism is not possible in case of function oriented programming, but polymorphism is possible in case of object-oriented programming. Some terms are new for you, all of you, don't worry. You will understand all the terms in near future, right? Just listen to me for a time being, right? So example of function oriented programming is C, Visual Basic, Fortran, Pascal. These are the example of function oriented programming. An example of object oriented programming are C++, Java, VB, .NET, C Sharp, .NET. These are the example of object oriented programming. Okay. So this slide is very important, student. Here we are going to discuss about the main pillars of Java programming language, right? So Java programming is based on the concept of object-oriented programming. So object contains both data and functionality that operates on the data. This is controlled by 4 paradigms, right? The first one is encapsulation. This is the first pillar of any object-oriented programming, encapsulation. Second one is inheritance. Third one is information hiding. And the fourth one is polymorphism. These are the 4 pillars of any object-oriented programming language, right? In this semester, you are having Java programming. Next semester, you are having Python programming, right? The Python is again based on object-oriented principle. So these are the pillar of any object-oriented programming. So you must know all these pillars, right? So let discuss in short about all this, right? So what is encapsulation in Java? So encapsulation in Java, this slide is visible. Yes. Can anybody
Yes,
reply?
miss. Yes,
Yes.
miss.
Okay. So first pillar of object-oriented program is encapsulation. So encapsulation in Java is the process of wrapping code and data together into a single unit. You can assume a capsule which is mixture of several medicine, right? So encapsulation is nothing but you can assume what one capsule which is the mixture of methods variable together in one side, right? So encapsulation is nothing but wrapping of data and method together. So how we can assume, how we can use the concept of encapsulation in any object-oriented programming? You can define a class concept. You can write a class to implement the encapsulation. So I can say class is a template for creating object. So hope you understand encapsulation is nothing but a process of binding variable and method, or I can say data and method in one place. And process of creating this, for process of creating encapsulation in any object oriented programming, we use the concept of class, right? So class is nothing but the template of creating object. First we need to create the class. So you can create the template, and using that class you can create an object of that class, right? So we'll take one example so that you can understand the concept of encapsulation well. So this is the example of encapsulation, student. So here I create one class. The name of the class is book. Book is the name of the class. And book consists of some data. So what is the data related to book? You can have title of the book, you can have author name, then cost of the book, and the date of issue. So many parameters are there. So these are the characteristics or variable of book known as data. And along with the data, you are having some other thing. These are the methods. To perform some action on data, we require methods. Suppose the first method is issue book, then find, return, open, close. These are the example of methods defined in book. So you understand what do you mean by encapsulation? Encapsulation means what? You create one class, name of the class is book, and book consists of some data and some methods. And if you bind all this thing into one place or into one capsule, then it is known as encapsulation, right? For example, Here I define one class that is book and another class that is borrowers, right? So two different classes are there. Book is having its own data and methods. Likewise, borrower class is having its own data and methods, right? Two different class I define, and after that I need to write an object belongs to the book class and objects belong to the borrower class, because class is nothing but just template of creating object, right? I need to create different object of book class, and I need to create different object of borrower class. And if I want to communicate with book and borrower, obviously we need to communicate, right? Obviously we need to issue some book, and who is going to issue the books or return the book? Some person is required. So for person I make one class that is borrower. Okay, after creating class you must create object for that class. And how the object can communicate? Object of book class can communicate with object of borrower class using message passing system. So hope you understand the concept of encapsulation. Somewhat you understand? Yes, anybody can reply.
Yes,
Eh,
miss.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next one is inheritance. So this is the second pillar of any object-oriented programming student. So what is inheritance? Inheritance can be defined as the process where one class acquires the property of another class. Means you need to create one superclass and a subclass inherit the properties of superclass. For example, here I write a very good example of inheritance. I create one class book class with some data and method, right? And I derive two more class using a book class. First one is the textbook, second one is a reference book. So textbooks and reference books are subclass of the book class. Why these are the subclass? Text and reference inherit the properties of superclass book, and plus having some other data and function of their own class. So this is the example of inheritance. Okay. Next one is information hiding. This is the third principle of any object-oriented programming. Means using object-oriented programming, you can secure your program. Means unauthorized access is unpermittable in case of any object-oriented programming. So how we can secure the program? You require some access specifier, that is public, protected, private, public, protected. We'll discuss this in later. I require 2 or 3 lecture to explain each and every principle of programming. Okay. So information hiding is there. Next one is polymorphism. So this is the next pillar, fourth pillar of any object-oriented programming. The polymorphism is nothing but is considered as the programming language ability to process object depending on their class. So for time being, you understand what polymorphism means. What? Suppose I want to print something. So I write only single function, that is print. The job of print in case of image, suppose I want to print the image, the parameter of printing image is different from parameter of printing document, but I write only single function for printing, right? So this is nothing but the polymorphism. For example, here I write one function, add function, right? So x and y are the variable, s1 and s2 is again variable, and the image document are again the variable, right? And I write I call add function 4 times here, right? So first add, two arguments are there, x and y. So here you can see if add x comma y, suppose I pass the argument 12 and 34, right? I think you have some idea of function using C programming language, so that you can understand this concept of polymorphism somewhat here, right? So add x comma y, right? So what are the argument over here? 12 and 34, right? So a system will print two numbers, and numbers are integer over here, right? Next one, add s1 plus s2. Here you are going to merge two string. See, the argument are different. The first example you are adding to integer. Next example you are merging to string. The job of the function is same, the add function, right? And if you change the argument, then output will be different, right? Next one, suppose I write image comma doc means what? Here the system will paste an image to the document, right? And third one, if I pass document 1 and 2, then the system will merge two documents. So what is polymorphism? Polymorphism here is you write a single function add, but you are passing different types of argument. So based on the argument, system will print the different output. Okay, so this is one of the principle of object oriented programming. So here you study the four principle of object oriented language. First one is encapsulation, second one is inheritance, third one is information hiding, and the fourth one is polymorphism, right? The next coming lecture we are going to discuss in detail about some more thing regarding Java programming, right? So it is time to stop your lecture for time being. Okay, if you have any doubt, then you can contact me, student.